I'm a dad, and I got dad bod, and I'm on a mission to get a six-pack. I'm currently on a 10-week challenge to get this six-pack, and I just finished week 4. This past week has probably been one of the most difficult weeks during this challenge. The holiday seasons are in full effect right now. A snowstorm just came through, and both of these had made it hard for me to stay consistent with my workouts and my meals. But I learned a lot from this past week, so let's dive into it. Today I'm going over my workouts, what I ate, the challenges I faced, and the lessons I learned. Make sure you stick around till the end because I'm going to share my mindset shift that helped me get through all of these challenges. Now, before I dive into the workouts and we start looking in depth on what I did, let's acknowledge the fact that at the beginning of the week, I weighed in at 210 pounds. And at the end of the week, I weighed in at pounds. This is a huge success because of all the challenges I overcame this week. So let's look at the workouts this week to see how I lost some of that weight. So this week, I technically only did 4 workouts if we're starting from Monday. One of the workouts was strength-based. 2 of them were really about getting my blood pumping and just moving. And then the 4th one was all about running. So on Tuesday, I did a little bit of strength with some kettlebell deadlifts, which I didn't go too heavy on because I used a kettlebell. But then I randomly decided to do 100 kettlebell swings with the same kettlebell. Now that wasn't the hardest workout for the week. Yes, that's a lot of kettlebell swings, but that's not as hard as my hardest workout this week. So Wednesday's workout was a little harder than Tuesday's workout. I decided to use the rings, and the rings are very difficult. I don't know if you've ever done a ring workout, but I really wanted to make sure that I was getting my front and back of my upper body this time and do my core. So my first superset, or circuit if you want to call it that, was doing reverse ring flies, and stability ball crunches, which is doing my chest and doing my back, and at the same time hitting my core. For the second superset, I did ring rows and ring push-ups, and then I had a blast doing some side-to-side slams, which I couldn't find the right movement that day of what it was called, so I just put some kneeling side-to-side slams. Now Friday was probably the second hardest workout of the week, and it involved a lot of kettlebell swings, a lot of dumbbell thrusters, and a lot of weight-plated sit-ups. I did 5 sets of each thing and made sure I did a minimum of 10 reps on every single set. I mainly did this workout to keep my blood pumping and going, so I didn't take a lot of rest in between, whereas compared when we look back onto Tuesday, I did take a lot of rest in between the kettlebell swings, and then when we go to Wednesday, there was a little less rest to keep my blood pumping. But the hardest workout of this week was definitely running. Now, usually running isn't too hard for me because I'm training for a marathon, but this time I did 5 miles. And I didn't just do 5 miles on a normal, beautiful day. A snowstorm came through. There's snow everywhere. There's a lot of ice outside. And I told myself I had to run no matter what. Got my headlamp and my little backlight. Whoa. So I went on out there, I trekked through the snow, I trekked through the ice, and I went 5 miles at a nice slow pace so I didn't bust my butt on the bustia, which is ice. And I felt accomplished the whole time. My app was telling me every half mile I got, and when I reached that 3-mile mark, I was like, I'm not tired, I feel good, and let me just make sure I stay safe out here. But the hardest part of this workout was getting myself out there in general, making sure I got out there because I wanted to have the excuse that, oh, it's snowing, oh, the weather is bad, I can't go out there. But I have a friend of mine that lives in a state 1 more north of me, and he runs in the snow all the time. So there's no excuses. I made sure that I went out there because I have a goal and I need to do whatever I can to achieve that goal. So the biggest lesson I want you to walk away with from my week of working out is the fact that if you want a goal and you want to achieve it, you need to stay consistent even on the hard days, no matter what. If it's raining outside and you said you were going to go for a bike ride, get your bike out and go ride in the rain. Now, if there's lightning and thunder, I'd say maybe not, but make sure you're working out in general. If you're feeling a little under the weather, but you know you need to move your body, maybe move it just a little bit. A little more is better than nothing, and staying consistent is better than stopping. So when you have a goal of losing weight or doing something fitness related, just stay consistent with it, y'all. Now let's go talk about the food. Now this past week, starting on Monday, honestly, I did amazing. I stayed in the green, which means I was under my caloric deficit the whole time, and I made sure that I was making good meals. One of my go-to meals when I didn't want to cook was really smoothies. Now you'll see me make a lot of smoothies throughout this series because I'm actually getting addicted to them. They're delicious and they're low in calorie with high amount of protein. And then other than the smoothies, you'll see me making taco bowls. I love taco bowls because it's one of the simplest things to throw a bunch of different veggies in, bunch of different meat, and maybe a little bit of carb, and just smashing it and going to town. Now my favorite meal of this week was my breakfast. because every single day I was making a garden fresh omelet. I mean, that's the best way to describe it. Let's bust it down right here for y'all. So for breakfast, it says 520 calories, and that's my omelet. My omelets were usually consisting of 3 eggs or 2 eggs and like maybe 100 grams of egg whites. And then on the inside of my omelet, I'd make sure I always had onions and bell pepper. Very good source of different vitamins. And speaking of vitamins, you know you have to get in the superfood of avocado and even tomatoes. This is hands down my favorite breakfast, I think forever now, because it's healthy, high in protein, and not a lot of calories for the amount of food that you are eating, which it could be lower in calories on certain days when I use egg whites, and I do prefer having the majority of egg whites in these omelets because it's a little more fluffy. And at the same time, I love using butter because it keeps it from sticking to my pan very well, and it just tastes that buttery taste is delicious. Now, I had a lot of good meals this week. I cooked a lot of good food, but I had one day that I struggled with a lot, and that was Sunday. Now, it says here I only ate 1,300 calories, but that is not true. I went over to my brother's to celebrate Christmas before him and his fiance left for Christmas time to go to a wedding, to see family, and so we celebrated a little early. And when we had that celebration, we had Chinese food. Now, I did not know we were gonna have Chinese food, but I did assume that we were gonna eat a lot of food. So I made sure that I didn't consume too many calories in the morning time. It's all started off with me having a good breakfast of just bacon, literally just bacon. When it came to lunch, I was like, man, I need to make sure I keep it a little lower. I don't want to break 1,000 calories before I get there. So I had a good old-fashioned taco bowl, delicious. It was more calories than I wanted to eat, but I had already put it in my bowl and didn't want to take it out, so I just ate it. And then right before we went to my brother's, I started snacking on some stuff. So that was probably a big mistake because when we got there, we had Chinese food and I wasn't fully expecting it, so that 900 calories left was totally obliterated. I probably ate another 1,500 to 2,000 calories, so I definitely went over that day. But all throughout the week, I did really good. Now, even though Sunday I definitely went over my calories, I had a good week, and I see it as a good week. And if you're on a weight loss journey like I am, I only have one tip of advice from you from my week of eating. Stay as consistent as possible during the week. Maybe even go above and beyond than what you're supposed to. And then when you have those days where you eat a little too much, you're not gonna feel as bad. And honestly, when I had Chinese food there, I did moderate myself. I didn't have 3 bowls of food, I only had 2. Where in the past, the 3 bowls, I'd be like, man, maybe I need a 4th one. But this time, I wasn't even able to really finish my 2nd bowl. So that's a big change. That's a big win. So when you're counting your calories and you're looking at how good you're doing during the week, just remember, one bad day can mess it up if you let it mess you up mentally. Because hey, I crushed it during the week and I lost weight even after eating all that Chinese food. So that's it for my food recap. Now let's dive into what I struggled with this week. Wait, before we talk about my struggles, let's clip in to see what I weighed in at the end of this week, and then we can go into the obstacles I had to overcome to be able to achieve the weight I ended at. All right, today's Sunday, December 22nd, and the week is over, and it's time to weigh in. I guess we just take off the clothes and get to it. Gotta take off the glasses. And there we go, y'all. Another pound down. We're at 209. And I still feel like I gotta poop. And I still weighed at 209. So I'm crushing it. I'm excited to do another week. I'm excited to keep watching the weight go down and this 6-pack slowly show up. All right, so I am so proud that I made it to that 209 pounds because I'm finally under 210. And the goal of being under 200 is right around the corner now. And I'm gonna definitely be able to get there, because I had to overcome something really hard this week. And it was Mother Nature. Mother Nature really tried to put a wedge between me and running outside. And at the same time, taking away time from me focusing on my goals. I had to snowblow twice during this storm. And then the next day, I had to really mentally fight the battle of, oh, I can't go outside and run. And that's something difficult to overcome. Most people that I know that live up here, if they have to snowblow at some point in the day, they're like, man, I don't know what I'm gonna do the rest of the day. Like, their whole day's gone. Because sometimes it's tasking. When you're out there and there's snow just smashing you in the face and you gotta blow it out of the way over and over, especially if you're me and I do 3 driveways. I mean, they're not all my houses, they're my neighbors. It's pretty demoralizing and it drains you really quick, but I didn't let it get to me. Heck, I didn't even let walking outside and seeing all the bad snow everywhere and ice on the floor stop me from running 5 miles. Because I know consistency is where it's at. I know that consistency is what's gonna get me to my goal of being under 200 pounds and having a 6-pack. So when life throws a curveball at you, just refocus and remind yourself why you're doing what you're doing, and understand that the discomfort you're feeling right now is going to turn into a great comfort once you achieve your goal. But then of course you have to be uncomfortable again to the next goal. Now yes, I overcame the obstacle Mother Nature threw at me, and I smashed it in the face and conquered it. But this week wasn't just filled with struggles and overcoming things. It was filled with also a sense of pride. I looked in the mirror this week and I saw myself in all my outfits, and I saw a difference. I could see that my clothing was fitting different. I felt different. I was more confident. I'd look sideways and I wouldn't see a belly just protruding out of me, which right now it might be because we'll talk about it next week, but I just ate more Chinese food. But just the 11 pounds that I've lost so far, I can see the difference now, and it feels good, and it's giving me more confidence. And sometimes when you're on a journey like this, it's hard to find those little wins, those little successes. Yes, it feels good when you overcome a challenge, but it feels even better when you can see a long-term change happening in front of you. I want my body to look different. I want to see my abs. So when I look in the mirror and I see a different body and I see my body changing, it feels good. It reminds me that what I'm doing is worth it and it's working. Sometimes it's the small things like this that are really the cherry on top of what success looks like. Because success isn't the big end of having that six-pack. The success is seeing myself change throughout time and then watching myself evolve at the very end and be like, wow, it didn't just magically happen. It was all about these little wins, these little moments from me being disciplined and dedicated to get to the end goal of having a six-pack. Now, throughout this series, I haven't been alone the whole time. I've been with you guys. You've been down in the comments leaving support, leaving some tips, telling me about your journey in general. Honestly, every single comment pushes me to do better every single week. It pushes me to do things that I didn't even think I could do anymore. Now that I'm a dad, all the things I used to take for granted of being strong, having all the time to work out, and having the body that I had, I no longer see it as unattainable anymore. I just see it that I have to put in more work. And when I see your guys' comments down below that you're on your journey, or that I'm doing a good job, or that you have some tips of advice for me, it really just pushes me and reassures me that I'm not in this alone. I don't have to bear this weight by myself. So I want to say thank you to you all. Not only that, I want to hear what your big win was for this week. Even if you're not on a weight loss journey, what's one thing that happened this week that you're very proud of and you wish you could share it with a community that are looking to grow? Now, next week's going to be pretty crazy, y'all. I mean, I'm currently in it right now as I record this video recapping last week, and I'm already eating Chinese food today, which I'm probably going to have leftovers for tomorrow. And then there's more celebrations to come because my wife's off of work till January 6th. So we have a lot of work to do. And so that means I'm cutting my calories for next week, which is technically this week, and I'm pushing myself when it comes to cardio workouts. Now, if you have any tips for me to be very successful next week / this week right now, please, obviously, leave them down below. And if you're curious to see if I'm gonna get a six-pack in these 6 more weeks to come, then you might as well subscribe to the channel, because this is a challenge that I'm not gonna stop until I get it. Because the community here is all about conquering challenges. And if that sounds like you, then you might as well subscribe as well. Right now, I'm working on losing my dad bod to get a six-pack, as you can see. But at the same time, I'm also reading every single day for a minimum of 10 minutes to become a better reader. And my brother on this channel is working towards being rich by the time he's 30. So whatever you're trying to do in your life that randomly made you end up on this video, just know that there's a big community out there that's ready to support you, ready to stick behind you, and make sure you achieve your goal. With that being said, y'all, I'll catch you in week 5, which I'm currently in right now. So technically we're time traveling and you're talking to me right now.